governmental affairs and our educational work here. And before I introduce our speakers today, let's cover a few housekeeping issues. First, if you have any technical difficulties, please click on the live chat button on the left side of your screen. A Click Meeting staff member will connect with you to help you resolve your issues. If you can't access the webinar, to click on the live chat button, contact Tracy Hinke at NTTC at THENKE@tanktruck.org or at 703-838-1784. These pre-official TTU launch webinars are a great opportunity for us to fine-tune and test our webinar software and our delivery methods. We're very excited about officially launching TTU in August. Today's webinar and our upcoming Summer of Security series are pre-launch opportunity where we can share NTTC offerings and specialized information that will help you operate more efficiently and strengthen your bottom line. Today, we have John Cannon of Wabash National and Douglas Pape of the Battelle Memorial Institute joining us to speak about using NTTC's newest tool, the Liquid Product Database. The LPD is a tool that helps chemical carriers determine possible damage to their trailers from carrying corrosive loads. NTTC partnered with Battelle to license the corrosivity information and create the underlying programming. The LPD is a subscription-based tool. By logging on, you can investigate various chemicals and learn their reactivity to your trailers. NTTC offers subscriptions to our members for $500 a year and to non-members for $1,000 a year. Both receive log-in capabilities. For more information about subscribing to the LPD, contact Arshad Khan at 703-838-1960 or by emailing akhan@tanktruck.org. John and Doug will be presenting for a little under an hour today, and then we'll take questions. If you'd like to ask a question, click on the smiley face button at the bottom of your attendee list window and select the Raise Hand option. We'll be switching to a Q&A mode at the end of the webinar to let you ask your questions directly. And now, let me turn it over to our presenters, John and Doug.
So this is Doug Pape with Battelle in Columbus, Ohio. And the other speaker will be John Cannon of Wabash National in their tank truck division. John has been the primary leadership and motivator of getting the liquid products database together, and he'll talk about that a little bit when we get to the history. And today we'll be talking about a brief history of the liquid products database. We'll be talking about the 3 pillars of the liquid products database.
Thanks, Doug. I'm back. Somehow I got muted. Sorry about that. But maybe that was a good thing. Who knows?
Okay. Go ahead, John.
Okay. As Doug mentioned, we'll cover the 3 pillars to explain what the liquid products database is. And then we'll show all of you how to gain access. Boyd talked a little bit about it, how to become registered, but we'll show you the screen. Then we'll segue into the login screen and how you can go ahead and start to navigate. Doug and I will both go over several slides showing you how to go through a search and other functionality on the website. And then just before concluding, we'll go over a few other considerations for carriers as far as the vetting process. Of course, the liquid products database is merely a tool as part of the whole vetting process. And then finally, as Boyd already mentioned at the conclusion, we'll have plenty of time for questions, so please keep those for the end. With that, let's begin. To center our attention on the issue at hand, consider this image. This is from a relatively new tank, and in fact, this event occurred since our last corrosion webinar, just about 18 months ago. You'll notice the rust streaks emanating from pits in the longitudinal seam. Well, as many of you on the webinar already know, welded seams are more susceptible to corrosion than the parent material. Of course, this is because of the phenomenon called chromium carbide precipitation. The chrome and the carbon in the stainless steel under heat bonds, and it bonds in a way that the localized area is not as corrosion resistant. And of course, that seam with the pits that you just saw, it would be repaired, but after repair, this vessel will never be as good as new. That's because when pit repairs are affected, there's more heat introduced, hence more chromium carbide precipitation. So the vicious cycle just repeats. As a suggestion for everybody who's on the call or the webinar, whenever you're having pits welded up in the vessel, try to have the repair facility use a more noble stainless steel. If you have a type 316L tank, invite them to use type 317L, and that will lessen the vicious cycle, if you will. Realizing several carriers incur hundreds of thousands of dollars of cost per year in pit repair, we just suggest everybody who's on the webinar maybe an investment of $500 per year as an NTTC member would be a good return on investment for you. Now a little history. For those of you new to our industry, we've faced major corrosion issues over the last several decades. About 5 years ago, 60 of us joined forces and thought, let's be proactive. Let's get at the root cause of these corrosion issues. And as you can see with this timeline, shortly thereafter, Battelle, NTTC, and several other industry stakeholders got involved, and I'm glad NTTC has taken ownership of this important initiative. So what is the LPD? We think of it as three pillars, if you will, and we'll cover each in detail. First and foremost, which Doug is going to go over, is the compiled existing data, and that's the website itself where each of you as a subscriber can go ahead and do searches and other analysis. A second pillar is limited annual testing, and this is intended, as we'll discuss a little bit later, for those new or proprietary blends that you're asked to haul in your tank. And then the third and newest pillar is the Carrier Comment Corner. That's sort of like a chat room for carriers, and it's a means to get some pretty immediate help or counsel from others in the industry about decision that you might be confronting. But to use these pillars, you'll have to register to use the liquid products database. This is the website address you can use, and we'll be looking at the launch page a little bit later. But once you get to resources, you'll be able to click on a link that will bring up this form, one form for NTTC members and a different form for non-members. And then this is the landing page you'll see when you click on the Resources tab in Liquid Products Database. And then once you have credentials from NTTC, obviously enter your username, password, and each time you log in, you have to agree to the terms and conditions. But today we have a special address, and I'll turn it over to Doug to go into more detail there.
Thank you, John. This is Doug Pape with Battelle again. And just for today, the way to log into the Liquid Products database is the address that's on your screen there, lpdtruck.com. So if you have two screens on your computer, or if you have your tablet in your lap in addition to your computer, feel free to log in right now, and if you want to, you can even follow along with me while I walk you through some examples of using the Liquid Products database. We'll leave the Liquid Products database open for a couple of hours after the webinar in case you want to play around with it some more and see what it works, but that's kind of a free sample. Later on today or certainly tomorrow, that lpdtruck.com will no longer get you into the database for free, and you'll have to buy a membership in the or subscribe to the Liquid Product database to keep using it. But go ahead and try their lpdtruck.com. LPD is for the Liquid Products database, lpdtruck.com, and you can go ahead and log in right now and follow along if you'd like to. And you can do that on a computer or a tablet or a smartphone. We made this database the website so it would work on devices of all sizes in case you're not in your office when you're working on this. So after you log in, either the normal method, go to tanktruck.org and click on Resources and then Liquid Products Database and type in your username and password. Or today, after you visit lpdtruck.com, see our splash page. And our splash page really is just that. You've got that nice picture of a blue splashing liquid there on the front page. So this is where you land when you come into the Liquid Products database. And if you'd like to follow along, you may be welcome to do that. If you're on a smaller device instead of a computer, the website might look more like this. I have at home an iPod Touch, an old-fashioned iPod Touch. The screen on there is not too much bigger than a 3x5 card. And when we make a change to the database, a change to the website, I test it out on there, and we make sure it works there, so it'll work on any size screen you have. So here's the main screen here. Just enter a chemical name, and then up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see there's a series of 3 lines. And if you have watching this on your iPhone, you can click on those 3 lines, and it'll bring up the rest of the menu. But all the navigation we'll do today, you can get there with just using the arrows that will be on the screen itself. So here we are back at the main page, and I've typed in the word aluminum. So if I type in aluminum, that will bring up all of the compounds, all of the entries in the database where aluminum is part of the name. So if you type in aluminum there, and then put your finger or your mouse on the little search button underneath there and touch the search button, it will bring up this page. Now, it won't be quite as fast for you. The website has to think and do the search, but it will bring up a page that looks like this. Now, there's a lot going on here, so let's take a tour first. Right in the middle of the web page are all the results inside that dotted line, and there are the 4 columns for the main results. In the left-hand column, the corrosive medium, you notice that all those words have the word aluminum in them: aluminum oxide, aluminum chlorhydrate, aluminum acetate, and so forth. That was our search. In the second column, it's the composition. That's a little more information about what's in the corrosive medium. The one tells you it's mixed with sulfuric acid, or the aluminum acetate is saturated. The third column is the temperature. Now, temperature is important for corrosion because usually at higher temperatures, corrosion goes faster. And the fourth column there, that's what you've been waiting for. Those are the results, the corrosion rate in mils per year, and those results, and we'll talk about how to read that in a minute. But the results, it says filter, and underneath there it says corrosion medium contains the word aluminum. Well, that's what you typed in a minute ago. And in the row below that, it says container type 316. That's for 316L stainless. We have corrosion information for two kinds of metal, two kinds of stainless in the liquid products database. Most of the information we have is for 316L stainless, and that's because most DOT 407 tankers for carrying chemicals are 316 stainless. And we also have a lean duplex material. We'll get to that here in a few minutes. So let's take a closer look next at the results. Now, to see over the results, you might have to go down to the bottom. There's that drawbar that you can slide to the right a little bit. And now you can read all the results depending on what size your screen is. And you notice for the first entry there, the result is not recommended for stainless. So that means if you're deciding whether to hold this in one of your regular 407 tankers, maybe not. If you have some lined trailers, maybe it is okay. You also notice next to where it says not recommended for stainless, there's a little picture of a truck. And that tells you that this information was submitted to the database by one of your fellow carriers. That truck means it came from a carrier, a tank truck carrier. Several carriers gave information to Battelle, which we then checked to make sure it seemed reasonable, it was okay. And then we put the information into the database. Notice we don't say who gave it to us. We confirmed it came from a legitimate organization, but we're not publicizing names here. The next item down also has a truck next to it, also from another carrier. And it says, okay, if the passivation is good and the trailer is washed within 24 hours. So this next compound is slightly corrosive, but if you've got a trailer with the inside lining, the passivation on the inside of the trailer is in good condition, and right after you drop the product at the consignee, you make a beeline for the wash rack, you'll probably be okay. One of the members of our steering committee tells a sad story where there was a product that they had hauled several times, lots of times, good, no problem. But one time they made their last delivery on a Friday afternoon, and it was before the 4th of July weekend. So the driver was in a hurry to get home, and he just parked the truck and went home and enjoyed the weekend. And then somebody came back on Tuesday after a nice hot weekend and took the trailer to the wash rack, and there was some corrosion on the inside. Oh. Nobody thought about it before. They didn't blame the driver. There was no rule saying you had to go directly to the wash rack, but it was a lesson learned the hard way that that particular product has to be washed right away, even if it is July 4th. The next entry here, instead of having a truck, you have a book. That means we got this information from a handbook, a corrosion handbook, and there's a 2. Well, what does that 2 mean? We'll look up at the heading on the column. That's the corrosion rate in mils per year. So the corrosion rate for this product is 2 mils per year. A mil is a 1,000th of an inch. So the corrosion rate is 2 mils per year, 2,000ths of an inch per year. That's how corrosion engineers measure corrosion rates. Okay, well, what does that mean to me? Look up at the top of the page. We've got a little cheat sheet up there. Next to advanced search, or if you're on a smartphone, it'll look a little different from what's on your computer screen now. But less than 2 mils per year, less than 2 MPY, means mild to non-corrosive. Okay, don't worry about it, probably. Less than 20 mils per year is moderate. Between 20 and 50 mils per year is moderate to severe corrosion rate, and we have some entries in the database that are above 50, and those are off the charts. So we don't make a decision for you. Should you carry, should you haul, should you not haul, but we just tell you, is it not corrosive or mildly corrosive, and then you can decide, maybe I'll wash it right away, and maybe I'll take one load in a tank that's old. That's your decision. We're just giving you the information here. We're not making a haul or a not haul decision. Even the not recommended for stainless, that's a recommendation. So let's filter this a little more now. So go up in the upper upper left-hand corner of your screen, and where that red button says Filtered, click on Filtered, and then that'll bring up this entry form here. And up at the top, you can see where it says aluminum. The corrosion medium contains the word aluminum. So if you touch your finger after the word aluminum and then type space sulfate, you will search for all of the entries that have the phrase aluminum sulfate, right together, aluminum sulfate. So after you type aluminum sulfate, then come down to the bottom of that pop-up and find the red search button, and touch your finger to the red search button. And now your results will look like this. If you look in the left-hand column, the corrosion medium, everything says aluminum sulfate. They're all aluminum sulfates. And then in the composition column, it tells you a little more about what aluminum sulfate. The first one's a 15% concentration. The second one's a 20% concentration, 21.8% concentration. And then what was the temperature? This was the temperature that the handbook made those measurements. The first one is less than 0.1 mils per year. Okay, that's not very corrosive. And the average temperature is 110 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's probably, even on a hot day, that's less than what your tank will get to, so that's probably okay. Go ahead. The next one, 218 degrees Fahrenheit. I doubt your tank will get to that. 1.5 mils per year, it's probably okay. We can narrow the search even further by clicking on the composition button. Next to the word that says composition, there's a little eye winking at you, that little down pointing arrow there. So if you click on that, it will bring up this menu where you can sort the composition ascending or descending order. You can change the number of columns you look at. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. Or you can filter on what's in the composition column. What we're going to do next, we're going to filter what's in the composition column. So click on that filter, and it will bring up another pop-up that looks like this. Show items with a value that contains. So click in that upper window there, under the first contains, and type in 48.5, 48.5. And that will bring up something that's a composition 48.5. You might wonder, why am I doing that? You'll see that in a minute, but you could type in, something that has oxide. So you want to find where the composition has the word oxide in it, or the word that has acid in it. But you can also search on concentrations, 48.5. And then after 48.5, click the word filter. And there we go. There's only one item left, aluminum sulfate, 48.5% balanced water. Average temperature 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And you look over there next to the corrosion rate, instead of having a picture of a truck or a picture of a book, it has a picture of a little flask we have in our laboratory. That means this product was measured in the laboratory here at Battelle for the liquid products database. Somebody had to make a decision about whether to haul this and said, I can't find information. I'd like some information. So the carrier made a request to the corrosion steering committee, said, would you measure this for us, please? And everybody agreed, so they shipped a sample of the material to Battelle, and we here in our lab, as John Cannon will explain a little later, measured aluminum sulfate, and here's the result of that measurement in the liquid products database. 0.026, that's a small number. And then there's a note, there's no pitting, no localized attack. So, okay, but you can probably hold that in confidence. That's enough for aluminum now. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot a step. If you forget what that little flask means, you can, if you're on a computer, you can hover your mouse over there, and it will tell you a laboratory measurement and the year of the measurement. If you have a screen, if you have a smaller screen, a touch screen phone, then you can't hover your mouse, so you have to touch that with your finger. It'll bring up this pop-up here with the source of the data, measured in the laboratory, and the date, measured in 2015. And you click the close down the bottom to dismiss that window. Okay, now we're ready to go on to the next thing. So we're ready to start the new search. So if you have a computer looking at the whole screen, you can come up at the top and click the word where it says Home. Or if you're on a smaller screen, like on your smartphone, in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see the letters LPD. Click click on that LPD, and you'll come back to the first screen where you started. So we're ready to start a brand new. And this time, let's type in sulfochem. Aluminum, that was a compound. That was products or compounds that had aluminum in them. This is going to be a search for products. Sulfochem is a trade name, so we're going to search for sulfochem and find entries in the liquid products database where the corrosion medium contains the word sulfochem. Again, after you type sulfochem, click the search button, and you'll see this circle go around in a circle, and here we are. All the items under the corrosive medium contain the word sulfochem. And it has more details on the name, has some more information about the composition. And then over in the corrosion rate, we have information submitted by a number of carriers. We have several that say it's okay if the passivation is good and washed within 24 hours. But the fifth one down there, says okay, no reservations. So that one, they're happy you can put that in any tank. So let's expand and see what we have. Look at all columns here. So come up and click the all columns button. And now there are more columns here besides just the 4 we were looking at. So the new columns are the trade name, CAS for the chemical abstracts number, UN, that's the UN number, that's the number you would put on a placard if you were hauling this. Oh, by the way, I should say, don't use the LPD to look up the UN number for a haul. The SDS is for that. They're the FIMS that has a hazmat table. You use that. You can, if you know the UN number, you want to look it up, you can try that. We have the UN number for some of the products here, but don't use the search the other way. Use established methods for that. And then the manufacturer will tell you that sulfochem is a Lubrizol trademark. So you can come down to your bar at the bottom and drag the bar over to the right, and now you can see the corrosion rates for these entries. Let's come up and let's filter again. We're going to narrow the search. So click on the filtered in the upper left. We're going to narrow this search. So touch your finger or click your mouse after the word sulfochem and type space EJE. Why did I pick that? Because I know there's no such thing as sulfochem EJE. I want to show you something. So you can type XYZ or type your own initials, I don't care. And then down at the bottom, like we did before, click search, and you'll get this message. No results for the query. Sorry, we didn't find anything for, and it has your search there. This contains sulfochem EJE in the container type 316. So you can look and see, well, oops, I made a spelling mistake. So if you made a spelling mistake, then you can click the button that says check spelling and go back and fix your spelling error. The one in the middle is the one I want to show you. Ask us to find the information. If you're pretty sure there really is such a thing as sulfochem EJE, then what you can do is you can click that, ask us to find the information. That will bring up this menu. So you can put in your name, your email address, your phone number. Sulfochem EJE is already in there. And then you can type a little extra message if you want to. So if I filled this out, it would look like that, my name, email address, phone number, and say, hey, this is a new formulation. Does anything know about that? And then you can fill this out now if you want to or not. You just click close if you want to. But then when you click send, that sends an email message to me, and then I will send that out to the members. Well, actually, the first thing I'll do is I'll ask Ian Haggerty. He's a corrosion engineer here at Battelle, and he has some extra databases that he can look things up. And if you find something, we'll get back to you right away. If he doesn't, then we'll send the information out to the corrosion steering committee at some other carriers. Maybe somebody else has some information on it, and we'll get back to you when we can. So if you click send, then there will be a message saying your email message has been sent, and you click OK to dismiss that. And then you're back here at a clean screen. So if something comes up dry and you're sure it exists, then you can send us a message. We'll try to look it up for you. Let's start another search this time. So click on Filter in the upper left-hand corner. And I've kind of glossed over it before, but there are several ways you can make an advanced search. You can search by corrosion medium, which is what we've done so far all the time. You can search by trade name. Sometimes the trade name is in the corrosion medium, and sometimes the trade name is over in the trade name column. That's what pays to check both. CAS. You can search by the CAS number. You can search by the UN number, or sometimes you want to look up, hey, what's everything by Dow or Lubrizol or whoever. So next thing, let's try to search by a CAS number, chemical abstracts number. So put in 77-92-9 is the example I'm going to use. If we find there's a material that is a product, it's a product that has several CAS numbers in it, we'll go ahead and put all those CAS numbers in the CAS number column. So when you search on CAS number, you'll catch everything that has that. Now, I'll tell you, we don't have complete coverage. We don't have all the CAS numbers in there, but sometimes you want to come and search that way. So type in your CAS number, and again, search at the bottom like you have. And then you'll have a screen that looks like this, where the CAS numbers are all 77-92-9, and no manufacturer information, because it's a chemical, it's just a chemical. And then the average temperature for all of those, for each of those entries that came from the handbook. But we don't need all of these columns here for this. So I'll show you another feature on the that little winking eye by the manufacturer there. Or you can click the one by UN. Here it doesn't matter. But click that little winking eye. And remember I told you we get back to that column. So you can sort by ascending, sort by descending, or you can click columns. So click that columns there. And there's the list of all the columns. And they all have check marks on them because remember a while ago we clicked the all columns button. So let's unclick some of those. So let's leave corrosion medium and composition, but then let's unclick the trade name. You can just click those right yourself. And I unclicked trade name, UN number, manufacturer, and temperature because I don't want to look at temperature right now. And then the way you just miss this is you just put your mouse off to the side someplace and click. And now here are the 4 temperatures. So you can see the corrosion medium, they're all citric acid, which is 77-92-9. And you can see how the composition is different. Pure, 58%, 20%, 10% with some chlorides in it. And then the corrosion rate in mils per year. Less than 0.1, that's not much. The second entry there is worth noting. The corrosion rate is 0.82, but read the note. There's moderate pitting with a maximum depth of 5 mils to 10 mils, 0.005 to 0.010 inches. Take a deep breath before you accept that load, because moderate pitting is what causes problems in 316 stainless. General corrosion, something to keep an eye on, but usually 316 stainless pits are what comes to bite you. So if there's moderate pitting, be careful. Well, now the reason I picked citric acid here is to show you the next feature in the liquid products database. So come up to where it says filtered in the upper left. We've clicked that several times before. And we're going to look at a different container type. Everything so far has been for container type 316, because it's 316 stainless. But if you click on that here, you see there are 2 choices, 316 with 316L, and the other choice is LDX2101, Lean Duplex 2101, which is, it's another kind of stainless. And some tank trailers are now being made out of this more sophisticated lean duplex steel, which is a little more corrosion resistant to some materials. So we have a limited amount of information in the liquid products database for LDX2101. So go ahead and touch your finger to where it says LDX2101, and you see in the window there it says LDX2101. And then again, like we've done lots of times before, we click search down at the bottom, and now it's going to search for 77-92-9, where the container type is Lean Duplex 2101. And here are the results. And if you look up in the upper right-hand corner, there's the filter. That's what we searched for. That's our filter. So it looks for CAS contains, the CAS number, and then the lean container type. It's been 316 all the times before, but now it's LDX 2101. There are two entries, 50% and 70% concentration. Well, look at those corrosion rates, 0.03, 0.07. Those are low. Those are well below 2. So it looks like LDX 2101 doesn't really care if it has some citric acid on it. One more place to click I want to show you. What's up at the top where it says corrosion rate interpretations. Or if you're on a smartphone, click those 3 lines in the upper right to get the menu, and then click on corrosion rate interpretations. So when you click on corrosion rate interpretations, now it's got those same 4 numbers there, less than 2 MPY, less than 2 mils per year, mild and non-corrosive, less than 20, moderately corrosive. And then it tells you what MPY means, and then there's a paragraph. I won't take the time to read the paragraph right now, but it tells you about a little more about what the corrosion rates mean and about the importance of pitting, and just a small tutorial on corrosion rate to help you use the database there. Well, that's how to use a database in 30 minutes. You're welcome to play with it for a couple of hours after the webinar is over and see what you can do. And so we'll bring you back to the slide with the 3 pillars on it. And John Campbell told you that we have 3 parts to the liquid products database. And I explained how we compiled existing data from 2 sources, from carriers that volunteered information for the better good of the industry, and from some handbooks. One was a handbook that was published a long time ago, and also some data that the National Tank Truck Carriers has licensed to put in here. And now I'll give the microphone back to John Cannon of Wabash, and he can talk about the other 2 pillars of the liquid products database. John?
Thanks, Doug, and hopefully I am not muted right now. Covering Pillar 2, as Doug already showed, the compiled data are extensive and growing, but regularly carriers are confronted with a proprietary blend or a mixture without any corrosion data. So your corrosion steering committee within this NTTC group developed a protocol, and right here on your screen are a couple of types of coupons that we had prepared for laboratory testing. The smaller coupon over here on the left, we use that for immersion testing, and as you'll see in a subsequent slide, Battelle will immerse that for up to 30 days to measure quantitatively how much is subject to corrosion. And then also we have a larger coupon that has plasma TIG weld bead, and it also has a Viton O-ring. And then this larger coupon allows for Battelle to do other immersion tests and make a more qualitative analysis as to the presence of corrosion. So why don't we move on to those images just so you can see how the coupons are immersed here in a bath of corrosive. I think this is actually aluminum sulfate. And then here on the next screen you can see some of the small coupons that are immersed for 30 days, and then Ian or someone else at Battelle would determine exactly how much was lost. As far as Pillar 2, Doug already started to go into this a little bit. If you as the carrier have a suggestion or want to nominate something to be tested, just let us know, either through the website or by contacting NTTC, and then the steering committee will deliberate on it and prioritize accordingly. We also realize that sometimes a carrier needs feedback right away. So the 3rd pillar of the LPD is what we call the carrier comment corner, and we think of this more of a chat room. So you can go right to the same landing or splash screen as Doug mentioned, and then you click up here on Comment Corner. And once you do that, you can go ahead and pose a question. You can create a new comment right here. And you can see we've got a couple comments on the screen that you can read right now. But importantly about this Carrier Comment Corner is that it's moderated by Battelle. So that makes sure that everything is an appropriate question. And then anybody who offers reply, that replier is also qualified by Battelle. So anything that gets posted is certainly worthwhile. So as mentioned before, the liquid products database is merely a part of the whole vetting process. And many of you on this webinar already know this, but especially for those of you who are newer to the industry, we just would also like to suggest it's very important that you obtain and thoroughly review the SDS. There are several areas of the safety data sheet that would provide you some clues as to whether a solution might be corrosive to your tanks. Also, make sure that you understand the material properties and the heat transfer because the density of the product is certainly going to enter into your decision about what type of tank to use. And Doug had alluded to this before, but searching under a UN listing, this is the place to do it, and you can follow this link later, or I'm sure NTTC will be distributing this presentation, but this link is right from the USDOT website, and you can download this Excel spreadsheet and save it on your desktop. But essentially, this is what it looks like, and it has every entry that USDOT regards as a hazardous material. And then right up here where we have the arrow, you can use the Find utility within Excel. And if you wanted to search for, let's say, UN 1788, just go ahead and enter right there. And even though there are thousands of entries in here, you would immediately just be right here on, say, line 1744. So it's a really good way to save a little bit of time. So in concluding, so that we have at least 10 minutes for questions, we'd like to emphasize this effort is a journey, and we encourage participation by all of you, especially carriers. Subscribe to this. Boyd, I think over 40 people are subscribing at this point, 40 companies. We encourage carriers to share data. Doug mentioned before a number of you have already shared data, and that makes this tool more effective for everybody. And then do some searching on here, and if something isn't coming up, as Doug mentioned before, just leave a note for Battelle. So we leave you with prevention is key. Let's all work together to make corrosion less of an issue in our industry. Boyd?
Thanks so much, John and Doug. That was absolutely fantastic. Folks, at this point in time, we're going to switch over into question and answer mode. Everyone's audio should give you a brief notice once you've made the switch. When you do ask a question, we will open your audio line to allow you to interact directly with our presenters. And let's go ahead and make that switch into Q&A right now. And looking to see if we've got any questions. We'll give everybody a moment or two. This slide will show you at the bottom of your attendee list, there is that smiley face button. You click on that, click raise your hand, and that is how you go about asking a question. It's right there. All right. Oh, we've got one. Go ahead and
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Tracy. Tracy posed the question, is there an option to do a trial run of LPD? Boyd, do you want to take that?
So we've got the site open today. Beyond that, we do have exciting plans for the future, which is working with a lot of our shipper partners to try to get them to voluntarily bring in a fair amount of their information. That's our first big step. And then other than that, I recommend everyone take a look at what's going on with the open site this afternoon. It looks like we have a question from Imri Zalan. Imri, would you type your question into chat? Oh, here we go. Actually, Imri, you should be able to speak right now. Imri, you there?
Boyd, while we're waiting for Emery, Terry asked the question about the annual subscription. Does that go from the purchase date, or is it a calendar year subscription?
That's a very good question. I believe that it is a calendar year subscription, just to make billing simple. I am unclear as to whether or not we do prorated yearly subscriptions, but I can certainly look into that, Terry, and I will circle that back when we put information out about the webinar. We will make sure that the answer to that question is in there.
Thanks, Ryan. So Ryan has clarified that, Terry, the subscription is based on 12 months from the date of subscription.
Thank you very much, Mr. Strebolo. Always nice to have folks from the sales side involved, keeping me honest.
Thanks, Terry.
Doug or John, Joe Newman's got a question. Recommended linings.
Great question, and we've got an answer, Joe. We at the Corrosion Steering Committee have talked about that, and that's something that we plan to tackle in years ahead. First, we want to get stainless steels addressed, principally 316 and LDX 2101, but then down the road potentially have liners that carriers should consider. Good question. Michael Crawford, good question there. Can the login be used by others in the same organization? And I'll answer for Ryan because I'm not sure he's got audio. And once you subscribe as an NTTC member for $500 a year, you're granted several logins. And for instance, our company has 4 logins, so more than one person from your company could log in, Michael.
And John, I can actually give you the details there. NTTC members are granted unlimited numbers of logins. Non-members that participate are granted 3 logins, but we have arrangements to increase that number if if there are non-members that want to raise that number above 3.
James, thank you for your question. For those of you who might not be able to see it, James Medusa, I hope I pronounced your name properly, asked, are we considering other metals down the road? The Corrosion Steering Committee has talked about that, perhaps adding 2205 duplex steel, which many carriers are going towards, but that's something that would be down the road. Right now the focus is on getting more population of data for 316.
And then we appear to have a question from Larry Edwards as well about recommendations for when you have different reports back from different carriers.
Very good question, and I like how you almost answered your own question there, Larry. Assume it will pit. I'm a conservative person by nature, but if there's any doubt, I would approach it from a standpoint it probably will pit. But the information that's in the liquid products database is advisory only, and of course it's up to the carrier to make the decision. And you're right, Larry, in certain instances there will be multiple observations from multiple carriers, so you just have to weigh it, and let's say if there is a risk of pitting, take it seriously, if that answers your question.
And I'll go ahead and take Emery's question related to copies of the presentation. We will be placing copies of the presentation on our website in PDF format, and that will give you an opportunity to share it around with members of your company and to the world at large if you'd like. It looks like we've got one more person putting in a question. John and Doug, what about 407 aluminums and skins?
Well, Doug, I feel bad that you haven't had the opportunity to answer a question. Do you want to answer that one, or do you want me to?
That's a trailer question, John.
Okay. Well, Darcy, a very good question, as all of these have been. First of all, as far as skin trailers, the data that Doug listed for 316 or LDX 2101, that's applicable whether it's a skin trailer or an insulated trailer. As far as 407 aluminum tanks, that's something we've talked about and perhaps including down the road, but as of this first year, or first couple of years, the focus is on 316 primarily. But for anybody on the call, don't put caustic soda in your aluminum tanks.
Well, folks, it looks like that is the last of our questions. So that will conclude today's webinar. Remember to check out our other pre-TTU launch webinars, the Summer of Security series, and keep your eyes peeled for future online and in-person training and educational programs that will occur beginning with the August launch of Tank Truck University. John and Doug, many, many thanks again to you for taking your time and educating everyone today. NTTC really appreciates your dedication to the LPD and to educating everyone about proper trailer maintenance. Thank you all of our listeners. If anyone has any feedback on this session, technical issues, ideas for improvement, or ideas for future sessions, you can contact Tracy Hinkey at 703-838-7914 or by emailing thenke@tanktruck.org. Everyone have an absolutely wonderful time, and we really appreciate it. Take care.